So a huge game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as 14th place Spurs host 13th place Manchester United. Despite both sides struggling for form, Spurs actually won their last league game, a 2-0 win at Brentford.
It's been probably one of your best weeks the whole season because you've had a chance to...
We haven't had a game.
We haven't had a game, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't lost. Yeah, it's been a decent week, yeah. I appreciated the fact there wasn't a game this week, yeah, for sure. When you're going at it all the time, you do get into this cycle where it does become a bit of a grind, but you know you have to do it. There's no alternative. I can't not do things that I'm responsible for. So having the opportunity of, like I said, even this, not having to front up, 2 or 3 times and kind of answer the same kinds of questions allows you to sort of just take a breath and, yeah, hopefully I'm back to whatever I was before.
We are not winning games, and I understand the connection between me and Ange. We have the same problems. In my opinion, with all due respect, I'm in a bigger club with bigger pressures. Every game until the end of the season is a big game for us. We need to improve the way we play football, but especially we need to win. No matter what, we need to win. And for that, we need to improve the way we play football.
Yeah, Ruben Amorim saying he can see the similarities between the two. You do not expect Manchester United versus Spurs to be 13th versus 14th. But what he also said was he's under more pressure because he's at a bigger club. Do we agree?
He's not wrong, is he? If you're being honest, I think he's wrong. But at the same time, they are kind of fighting to see who stays away from relegation at the minute, aren't they? So regardless of your history, you're in the same position, and I think Ange would be under as much pressure. If it's less pressure, it's because Ange has had about 10 injuries more than him, and which he's having to shuffle. A little poor Archie Gray, correct? He's been playing centre-back, left-back, right-back. He's a centre midfielder, and he's done, for me, a fantastic job in that position. So it's going to be an interesting game.
What do you think about the pressure stakes?
I think, look, both of them are under pressure. I don't think he's wrong in saying Manchester United. I know Tottenham fans are going to come after me, but you would say they are one of the biggest clubs in the world, Manchester United. So I don't think he's not speaking true facts in that. So, but I think for each of them, they're under immense pressure given their own situations that they're in. But look, it's two teams that have underperformed, and as you said, we didn't expect them to be where they were. And for different reasons, and they both need to find a way out of it. So it will be an interesting game, and you can't call it. You don't know which team for either of them is going to show up in the game, to be brutally honest. Yeah, Manchester United struggles certainly made more of. 4 wins in 13 Premier League games. Since Amorim took over in November, only 5 teams have picked up less points than Manchester United. What's happening? How are they struggling?
Not only are they not scoring, I don't think they really create that much. I feel if it ain't Ahmad doing something special or Bruno working his magic, there's not much coming from Xerxes or Højlund, who are meant to be their number 9s, or you don't expect them to score like your 20s, your Salah and your Haaland goals, but you're meant, a team at Man United, you have to be putting up 10, 12, 13 goals between you. You're playing enough games, you have the players in there to create those chances for you to put them away, but for whatever reason, they're just not doing it. And then on the defensive side, they make a little bit of mistakes, Onana sometimes, or defenders, and they're not recovering from those mistakes. I think if they didn't beat City when they came back, I think at one stage of the season they would have been like 3 points off the drop, which for me, for a Man United team, it doesn't matter how good or bad they are, it's insane to hear and see.
One thing that you mentioned was Diallo and his moments of magic. No player has scored more goals or provided more assists, 6 for both, than Amad Diallo. I think it tells a story that he is the one who's standing out, that they are relying on him.
Star player, but when he's played him a little bit higher, he's kind of been restricted out of the game, so he's had to then drop him back into the wing-back areas to give him that space to take players on in that 1v1. But yeah, he has been the bright spark, and I think Garnacho has improved the last couple of games. Obviously, he was linked away, And that I wasn't sure what was going to happen there, because Manchester United, Amorim's come out and said, well, if I want to buy players, I've got to sell players. So, but to be fair to Garnacho, he's been a constant threat the last couple of games and has made a difference. But, you know, but you looked at those goals there that they conceded, so poor. The Newcastle game, tactically got it wrong. They got bullied. You know, the Brighton game there, we watched Matoma, the ball over the top. It's what we saw tonight. So these are trends from other teams that they're not picking up on. So defensively, not good enough. And he knows he's got a lot of work to do. And the thing for me is the transfer. If he's got to sell players to get players in, I think there's not. I don't know how many players want to buy any Man United players and for prices that they want either.
Well, since you're talking about transfers, left-back Patrick Dorgu became Ruben Amorim's first signing for United, joining from Lecce for £25 million. He's been speaking ahead of this huge game at Spurs.
I know I can improve a lot here, play with better players, and the league is the best in the world, so for me it was quite easy to take the decision, yeah. I already know it's a big club and the players are good. It's just about connecting in the games and getting used to the new system. For me, I was, of course, a little bit nervous because it was my first game, but it was a nice feeling to walk out. It was good atmosphere in the stadium. I like to get in the box, and I like to be aggressive and to play with a lot of energy and to hopefully get like the fans going. He's been really good to me, like helping me like with the new system and everything, so it's good. Every player wants to be a starter, so I want to just improve myself to get as many games as possible. And for the team, it's the FA Cup and Europa League. It's the two main targets for us. Two big cup competitions that we are looking forward to do as best as possible.
Another thing that Amorim and Ange have in common is sticking to their principles and the way they want to play, and sometimes at the expense of players playing in different positions, perhaps what we saw with Dorgu in his first game.
I mean, it baffled me. You know, you bring him in, you give him his debut at home, and then you play him on the right-hand side, and he's a left footer, and he kept coming infield, and he was nervous. It wasn't right for him. You put on your debut, you put a player with that left foot, that pace, give him the width, give him that space, and he didn't. He played him on the other side, and I thought and then he brought him off at half time. I was fuming that he did that, because I'm like, you've knocked his confidence in the first 45 minutes, and you've told the rest of the world and the fans as well, no, he's got to bounce back for that. Instead of putting him in the position that you signed him for and giving him an area to thrive. Again, that's sometimes where, similar to Man United, I'm like, I don't understand sometimes what Amorim's thinking or seeing. Sometimes it does baffle me what he does a little bit.
Let's move the conversation to the host Tottenham, because they are struggling as well. 6 defeats in their last 8. They won their last game 2-0 at Brighton. That was a huge victory for them. And at Brentford, sorry. And Ange is under huge pressure. We heard him saying he had the best week last week because they didn't play.
Well, yeah, but you can see it as that's Ange having a laugh in it.
Yeah.
That's him with a little bit of banter. But from his perspective, I can 100% understand what he's saying. He doesn't have to keep worrying about giving interviews, what happened here. But more importantly, is give some of the players that are injured some time to maybe be closer and closer to coming back. But as we know, our Ange players, they take gambles, they leave holes. But there's so many players that they're playing without. I kind of feel sorry for him.
Yeah. He's had key players out as well, as you mentioned, critical ones in the back line. Mickey van der Ven, Dragushin's also out, and I think has to have an operation. There's Odegaard, Romero. They haven't had Solanke, Udogie. It's been. He's talked about it. Other clubs have had injuries as well, but I think Tottenham lead the injury table in the Premier League, and it's big name players. Yeah,
they're starters, and as Sean was saying earlier, he's having to play young players totally out of position. It's okay playing senior players out of position, but young players as well, that's quite difficult. And when you're playing in Europe as well, so there's an extra, you know, he's been saying it, they're playing 2 or 3 games, you know, back-to-back with a smaller squad, a lighter squad, and the intensity that he wants to play at. And that's where the challenge is the intensity causing those injuries. And with those injuries, should he change it? But I like that he stuck to it, because he wants to play that style and the fans wanted entertaining football, and you will always get that with him.
I didn't even mention Mickey van der Ven. Tottenham
You
have
did.
already... Oh, good.
I think you did, yeah.
Good, because that's critical. Tottenham have already beaten United twice this season. They played in the Cup and they won 4-3 and they won 3-0 at Old Trafford in the league. They've never done the league double over United. Will they ever have a better chance?
It's kind of unfair to say, will they have a better chance? Because there's a few players in this team that played that I don't think are going to be playing in this game tomorrow. And Van der Ven being one of them. He's massive not only in recovery runs, but as you saw just before, the way he breaks lines and he can make a goal up because nobody can get near him. But I know one thing, it will be an exciting game because obviously we know how Spurs play. If Ahmad plays and United try and catch them in transition after they've broke, it can open the game up a little bit. But I'm not sure yet. United don't seem to score that much. So it's just going to be interesting.
What do you think?
Do we have to do a prediction?
No, at the end of the show, but what do you think we're going to see on Sunday?
I just, mainly for the fans, I hope it's a good game. But like I said at the start, I don't know. I don't know even. You can flick a coin. I don't know what Man United team's going to show up. Will they fight and give it to the last 5-10 minutes and then kind of save themselves? You know, what Spurs going to do? Are they going to go all guns out and then fatigue at the end? Who knows, Jules? Ask me at the end of the show.
Yeah, we get your predictions at the end of the show. Yeah, I know you're looking forward to those.
Sky Sports pundit Paul Merson has claimed that he will be shocked if one specific team wins Tottenham and Manchester United's Premier League match on Sunday. Manchester United will travel to North London for their encounter with Spurs, with kick-off scheduled for 4:30 p.m. UK time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The Red Devils have won only 2 of their last 5 Premier League fixtures ahead of Sunday's match, with Ruben Amorim's men 13th in the table this season. United have only managed 8 Premier League wins in the 2024-25 campaign after 24 matches, and Ruben Amorim's side are 12 points clear of the relegation zone. The Red Devils are 14 points adrift from the Premier League top 4, and United's hopes of finishing in a Champions League qualification place are all but over. United lost 2-0 on their last Premier League outing against Crystal Palace at Old Trafford before bouncing back with a win in the FA Cup last week. Amorim's men came from behind to beat Ruud van Nistelrooy's Leicester City side 2-1 in the 4th round of the FA Cup and punched their ticket to the 5th round. Tottenham have suffered their own setback this season, and Spurs manager Ange Postecoglou is under immense pressure ahead of this weekend's match. Spurs are 14th in the Premier League table and Tottenham are 2 points behind 13th place Manchester United amid their woeful run of form in recent weeks. Ange Postecoglou's men were also dumped out of the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup last week after their defeats to Liverpool and Aston Villa respectively. Speaking in his column for Sportskeeda, Paul Merson has urged Ruben Amorim to change things up and pivot away from his tactical system for the match. "Whoever loses this game is in big trouble," he said. "I don't even know where to start because both Tottenham and Manchester United are as bad as each other. Spurs can point to their injuries, but what's United's excuse at the moment? Ruben Amorim has to change things up. I know he has been true to his philosophy, but he needs to realise the players available at Old Trafford are not fit to play that way." Merson was also baffled at Patrick Dorgu, who was signed by United earlier this month, at being deployed as a right wing-back on his debut against Leicester City. The Sky Sports pundit has backed Tottenham to pick up a 2-1 win at home on Sunday and believes that Spurs have better forwards than United. "I saw him put the new kid Patrick Dorgu in an unnatural position on his debut," Merson continued. "I mean, what is this? I'd be shocked if Manchester United win this game. I think Spurs have the better forwards and that will end up being the difference between the sides. This is Manchester United we're talking about and they should be smashing Tottenham in an ideal world. But I can't even see them beating Palace at the moment. How can I expect them to win this game then?"